Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again. It's the OG. It is the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh, and I've got the basic bug. I've got the bug. I've got the fever, and the only cure is more cowbell, and that cure is more programming in BASIC on the color computer. And we're going to keep this crazy train on the track, and we're going to take this thing all the way to the station. We're now on Chapter 12. And just to let you know, because I got some people asking me in the comments, when are we going to get to graphics and sound? And we're 2 chapters away. Once we get into chapter 14, we're going to get into graphics. So we got 2 more chapters to go through. There's 34 chapters in the book, so we're about a third of the way through right now. So we're making good progress. So let's go ahead and jump in, and let's take a look at what chapter 12 is all about. The name of chapter 12 is called A Pop Quiz. And so it says here, by using the words INKEY string, you can get the computer to constantly watch, time, or test what you're typing. And so we're going to type in this program here. So let's go ahead and type in line 10. A string equals INKEY string. And the INKEY string is basically scanning the keyboard and looking for what key you're going to press in. So now 20 is going to say if a string is greater than or less than double quotes, meaning nothing, go to 50. So this is basically saying at this point, if you press anything, go down a line. Line 30 is going to print on the screen. You pressed nothing. Line 40 is going to go back to line 10. Line 50 is going to say print quote, the key you pressed was, or is, the key you pressed is dash dash dash, which where the hell is the dash 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 dash, quote, a string. So what is the program going to do? It's going to scan the keyboard, look for us pressing a key. If we press nothing, if we press anything, meaning the keys is not blank, it's going to jump down to 50. That's going to tell us what we pressed. If we don't press anything, it's going to just keep printing on the screen. You've pressed nothing, and keep going back waiting for us to press something. So right now if I hit run, okay, you pressed nothing, you pressed nothing, you pressed nothing, because I haven't pressed a key. What happens if I press the letter T? The key you pressed is T. That's the key I pressed. If I run this again, you pressed nothing, you pressed nothing. What happens if I press the letter Q? The key you pressed is Q. So pretty cool, right? You can kind of follow the logic here. Scan for the keyboard. It's basically INKEY string says, I'm going to listen for whatever you type in. And whatever you type, I'm going to take that and I'm going to store it in a variable that's called a string. Because it's going to be text, it has to be in a string variable, not a numeric variable. Now we look at what that a string is. So we're basically saying, is this null? Is this nothing? Is this empty? Because if it's empty, we're going to keep going around in a circle until you press something. But if it's not empty, and that's when we use greater than and less than. Greater than and less than is basically like saying not equals. When you do this on paper, you write the equal sign and a little slash through it. That's the symbol for not equals. So if a string does not equal nothing is what we're saying here. However, there's no not equals key on the keyboard. So in computer logic, we say greater than or less than. If it's anything other than this, that's how we say not equal. So if it's greater than or less than nothing, then go down to the line that tells us what it is. And if it is nothing, we're going to keep going around in a circle. Pretty cool, right? So now it says if a strings equals nothing, then you press nothing and you go back to line 10. If a string equals something, anything but nothing, then we go down and press this. Now it says add this line to the program, 60, go to 10. We're going to quickly lose what we have on our screen now. But now if I hit run, you press nothing. You press F, you press S. So like right as I'm typing the keys on my keyboard, even the spacebar should show up. But yeah, so as I type, you'll see what I'm typing, but because it's continuously going around in a circle, it's just going to keep doing that. Kind of cool, right? And the end key is the break key. All right, so cool little program. Now we are going to play a game of Beat the Computer. So let's clear the memory. Okay, so 10x equals random 4. Gosh, I keep forgetting what the keys are. Random 4. Okay, 20. And I'd press shift 0 because that's where the right parenthesis is on my keyboard. Y equals RND 4. Yeah, and so what are the keys I am struggling with right now? The left parenthesis is actually shift 8. The right parenthesis is shift 9. The dash is the equals sign. The colon is the minus sign on my keyboard. It's just really strange. And then like over here, if I need to get to the semicolon is one thing, shift semicolon is plus. It's just so strange how some of these keys are not mapping where they're going. So it's looking like we're going to pick two different numbers, an X and a Y. 30. Print quote, what is, end quote, X. Then we have to actually print the plus sign in quotes, which is shift semicolon, plus Y. And this is, let me space it out for, I know what I'm doing, but I want this to, what is, quote, space, X is the variable, quote, plus, we're writing the plus in quotes, space, Y. So we're going to print out the word what is in quotes, X is the random variable that it picked, plus we're putting in quotes so we can see it on the screen, and then Y is the other variable. So it's literally going to, like, let's say if it picked 1 and 2, it's going to say what is 1 plus 2 because the plus is in quotes. Okay, now 40, T equals 0. Okay, 50, A string equals INKEY string. And string is shift 4. Okay. 60, T equals T plus 1. 70, sound 128, comma 1. We're going to get a beeping sound. Okay. 80, if T equals 15, then go to line 50. Okay. 90, if A string equals blank blank, then go to 50. If T equals 15, then go to 200. I screwed that one up. So 80 is if T equals 15, then 200. Let's list that out. Okay, so 80 if T equals 15, meaning I've counted through 15 times, through 15 cycles, then time's up. I'm going to go to line 200. If you aren't pressing anything, go back to 50. 100, go to 10. 200. CLS 7, 200, 210, sound 180, comma 30, 220, print quote, too late. Now, oddly enough, I don't think there is a way for you to answer the question properly as I'm looking at the program. Program fits on screen. We're going to pick a random letter X. We're going to pick a random number X and print a random number Y. We're going to ask you the question, what is X plus Y? Now these random numbers are between 1 and 4, so the combination of them would be between 2 and 8. So we should be able to answer the question by pressing a single key on our keyboard between the digits 1 through 9. We will be more than enough to answer this question. So we start our timer or our counter at 0. And then we scan the keyboard, and then we increment our timer by 1, and we generate a sound. Now we check for how much time has passed. Has t reached the level of 15? Have I gone around in a circle 15 times? Because if I did, I'm going to go down to line 200. That's going to clear the screen, make a higher pitch sound, and say too late. If A string equals quote, quote, then go back to 50, meaning I press nothing. But then line 100 says go to 10. So if I press any other key, it's going to go back and ask me a new question. So I'm really having a hard time following this. Syntax error in 220. What the hell did I do wrong here in 220? Oh, 220 should say print quote too late. All right, let's run this again. Okay, so it's making this sound. If I press a key each time, it's not actually checking if I got the answer right, so there's no logic here. But it's giving me less than 15 seconds to press a key, and if I don't press a key, it's saying too late. So it's kind of sort of like a game, but not quite, because you can't win. But it's the building blocks for one. So that's kind of interesting. I get it. So what is 2 plus 2? I didn't answer it in time, right? Too late. If I and it doesn't matter what key I press. If I press the space bar, if I press a letter, any key I press, if I press a key, it's going to go back to line 10. It's going to pick new numbers and ask you what they are. Now, if we wanted to make this a real game, we would have to actually take your input, turn that into a number, which I think is called val. We take the value of a string, convert it into a numeric value, and then we could compare that. You know, if your answer equals x plus y, then print you got it correct. Something like that would be kind of the logic to do that. So beat the computer. Here's how the program works. In line 10, 20, and 30, have the computer print 2 random numbers and ask you for their sum. Line 40 sets the t to 0. T is the timer. Line 50 gives you your first chance to answer the question in a split second. Line 60 adds 1 to the timer. The timer now equals 1. The next time the computer gets to line 60, it adds again 1 to there, and it equals 2. Each time it does it, it will continue to count up. Line 70 is just to make you nervous. Line 80 tells the computer you have 15 chances to answer. Once t equals 15, the time is up. The computer insults you in line 200, 210, and 220. Line 90 says if you haven't answered yet, the computer should go back and give you another chance. The computer gets to line 100 only if you do answer, and line 100 sends you back for another problem. How can you get the computer to give you 3 times as much time to answer your question? So instead of having it count to 15, you'd have to change that to 45. Now, how do we check your answer? How do you get the computer to check to see if your answer is correct? If A strings equals x plus y, then 130. Print wrong. Go to 10, print correct. When you run this program and answer on time, you'll get this message which says type mismatch. But I'm getting ahead of myself right now. I'm reading the chapter here. I'm reading what it says in the book, and now it's doing what I was thinking. How do we get this program now to check to see if you are correct? So it wants me to now do this. Instead of having 100 go back to 10, it wants me to do this. It wants me to change line 100 to say if A string equals x plus y, then go to 130. Meaning if you got it right. 110 is basically going to say print wrong, comma, x, and then we have to put the plus in quotes, x plus y, and then I have to put the equals in quotes, equals, and then literally x plus y. So it's printing, in order to print the equals and plus signs, we have to put strings and quotes in between numeric variables. So if you get it right, it's going to go to 130. That's going to say you got it right. If you get it wrong, it's going to say no. this and that really should have been that, right? And then if you got it right, 130 says print correct. I'm actually going to put an exclamation point in there because you should be happy. And then line 140 says go to 10. However, it's telling us we're going to get a type mismatch error. And I have a feeling it's because a string is a string variable and we're trying to compare it to, we're trying to compare this string variable to the sum of two numeric variables. And I don't think that's going to fly. So let's try it right now. What is 2 plus 3? I ran out of frickin' time. What is 1 plus 1? Dude, okay, you know what I need to do? I need to go back and fix line 80. So line 80, if t equals 45, then 200, because that was too damn quick. Let's try it again. What is 3 plus 3? 3 plus 1 is 4. So I hit the right answer. This is when it should be telling me I got it correct. However, I'm getting TM for type mismatch error. And it says that's because you can't make a string variable equal to numeric variables. You need to change string to a number. And so it's telling us the command to do that is now here. It's saying that we need to say if val a string, val means the value, then we'll go to that. So let's list that program out. So line 100 now, instead of saying if a string equals x plus y, we have to say if val left paren a string right paren equals x plus y, then go to 130. All right, so let's try it. 4 plus 2 is 6. Correct. 1 plus 4, 5. 2 plus 3, 5. 2 plus 2, 4. 2 plus 3, 5. What if I hit the wrong number? 3 plus 4, boom, wrong. It's saying it's actually 7. And then I ran out of time. It's still a pretty quick game. So what's going on here now is the computer's picking two numbers. It's adding those two numbers. It's asking us to answer the question. It's comparing our input, turning it into a numeric value, and then saying, all right, so the value of what you just typed needs to equal the sum of x plus y. So if you type the number that's the same number as these two numbers added up, then you answered correctly. We will print the word correct on the screen. If you answer incorrectly, we're going to tell you not only is it wrong, but those two numbers combined really equals and show you what the answer is. Pretty cool. Try it one more time. 4 plus 1, wrong. 3 plus 4, 7. 3 plus 3, 6. What? I hit 6, jackass. Okay, maybe because my number, I tried doing it on the keypad. Maybe it doesn't read the keypad. All right. 2 plus 2, 4. 3 plus 3 is 6. All right, 1 plus 2 is 3. I can do this all day long. Come on. All right. 2 plus 2 is 9. No, it's actually 4. Oh, I got the word correct on my screen still. I screwed something up. So when it says wrong on 110, okay, 120, I forgot 120. Line 120 actually needs to go back to 10. I forgot that one. So when it says wrong and tells you what the right answer is, then it needs to go back and start over again. So let's try that. So if I just keep hitting wrong, now I get the word wrong, right? So now I'm getting all my wrongs. And every now and then I'll get one correct. I'm not even looking at what I'm doing here. I'm just pressing random numbers, right? So I'm getting right and wrong. 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay, that is correct. Let's let it finish going. Boom. Too late. Ran out of time. Very cool. Very, very cool. Now, to make your program more challenging, change these lines. B string equals B string. Oh, what is going on here? I am really confused, but we're going to go ahead and try it. This is what it wants me to change right now. Okay, so it wants me to change. Let's go ahead and list what we have. And so it wants me to say 10. X equals random 49. I keep forgetting where the parentheses are. 49 plus 4 20, y equals random 49 plus 4, 90, b string equals b string plus a string, 100 if val, the value of b string, equals the correct answer, which is x plus y, then go to 130. And then it wants me to say 45. Okay, b string equals double quotes, which is nothing. 95, it wants me to add if the length of b string is anything other than 2, then go back to line 50. Let's list that. Let's list 1 through 50. List 1 through 50. Okay. So we start off with our random number. So the random number now is going to be between 1 and 53. Actually between 2 and 53. We're going to ask you what these two numbers are. We are going to then set the timer. We're going to start off saying B string is nothing. We're going to say A string is our INKEY string. That's 51 through 200 now. Then we go to our timer, our sound. We look for our 45 seconds. Now we're going to add B strings. Is going to say it's itself plus A string. If the length of B string is less than or greater than 2, go back. If the length of B string equals 2 characters, meaning we've pressed the key twice and it's picked up 2 inputs, then we're going to take the value of that string, convert that into a numeric value, compare it against the actual right answer, and if it's the same, we're going to go to line 130 that says we're correct, and if it's not, it's going to say we're wrong. So it's basically make 10 plus 24 is 34. That is correct. 24 plus 50 is 54. Ran out of time. Interesting. Very, very interesting. 52 plus 11 is 63. 14 plus 25 is 39. Ran out of time, right? So interesting little program now. It is now looking for multiple inputs to create a 2-digit answer. Pretty cool. So we're starting to see here now where we can actually make some games of chance, or some games of, testing your skills and wit. We did all that crap. Okay, a computer typing test. Do we want to save that game? Do we want to save this game? And if we do, what do we want to call it? Nah, screw it. We're not going to save it. Okay, we might save typing test, but we're going to find out right now. So 10 CLS 20 input quote press enter when ready to type this phrase, and then we're going to input that as E string. 30 print quote now is the time for all good men. Okay, 40 T equals 1. 50 A string equals INKEY string. Okay, 60 if A string equals nothing, then 100. 70 print A string semicolon, so they're going to stick together. 80 B string equals B string plus A string, meaning you start off by being yourself, but you're going to add to yourself whatever this other variable is. Okay, 90 if the length of B string is equals 32, then 120. So if I've typed in 32 characters, I'm going to go down to 120. Now, 110 is going to go back to 50, which is waiting for you to press another key. And over here, you can kind of see how these things are working here. 50 is going to look for you pressing a key. 60 is going to see if it is nothing. If it's nothing, it's going to go down to here and add 1 to the timer. If it is not nothing, then it's going to print out on the screen what you pressed. Add that character into a variable called B string, and B string will continue to get bigger as you press more keys. It's going to check for the length of B string, and once you've reached 32 characters, it's going to go down here and figure out how long it took you to do this. And then it's going to keep adding to the timer and going to keep going around in circles. When you finally answer the question, it's now going to do some math and divide things to try to calculate how much time it took you to do this in real time. So now we're going down to line 120. We're going to say S equals T divided by 74. And T is how many times we had to go around in our timer. Okay. Seconds is T divided by 74. 130. Okay. Minutes equals S divided by 60. So however many seconds it is, we're going to divide that by 60. It's going to tell us how many minutes. 140 is, what the heck number is that? That's an 8 divided by M. So we're going to say R equals 8 divided by M, by how many minutes. 150 is going to print a blank line. 160, we're going to print, quote, you typed at dash dash, quote, R, quote, dash dash, there's dash dash, dash dash, words per minute. That's all in quotes. All right. Very confused on some of this math, but I think it'll make sense here in a minute. Press enter when ready to type this phrase. Well, I spelt it wrong and I have an unlisted error in line 60. 60, if A strings equals quote quote, then 100 is supposed to be T equals T plus 1. I also have to fix the actual text, even though I know what it says. 30 print quote, now is the time for all good men. I'm going to retype that one in. So let's run it. Okay. Press enter when ready to type this phrase. Okay. NOW is the time for all good men. Okay. You typed at 70 words per minute. Somehow it calculated all that. How did it calculate all that? It took this timer, and somehow the computer knows how fast it can cycle through adding these numbers. And so as every time this little piece of code here loops, the value of t increments by 1. It has somehow figured out that that is 1/74th of a second or something like that. So we're going to take that time divided by 74, and that's going to tell us how many actual seconds that it took. And now we're going to say, okay, well, if it's 45 seconds and we'll divide that by 60, that's, that's 0.75. That's 75% of a minute. And then that's how many minutes. If it was 60 seconds, it's 1 minute. Then we divide 8 by the number of minutes. I don't know where the number 8 comes in from, but if you divide 8 by the number of minutes, it's going to tell you how many words per minute you came up with. I don't know how the 8 factors into that, but we'll try it again. I'll try to type slower. Now is the time for all good men. And that time it says I typed in at 56 words per minute. Let's run it again. Now is the time for all good men. 190 words per minute. I don't believe that at all. So there's got to be something wrong in the timer or something like that. But it's an interesting little thing here, because what it's doing is it's continuously scanning the keyboard, gathering what you're typing, compounding that into a string variable, comparing the length of that variable, waiting for that length to equal 32 characters, and then doing some calculations based on how many program cycles it had to run through before you reach the end, doing some math on that and giving you an approximation of how long it took you and how many words per minute you actually typed. So that's kind of interesting. So here's where it's going to explain it to us a little bit more betterer. Line 40 sets the timer to 1. Line 50 gives you your first chance to press a key. If you're not fast enough, line 60 sends the program to line 100 and adds 1 to the timer. Line 70 prints the key you typed. Line 80 forms a string named B string, and each time you press the key in A strings, it adds that to the B string. So as you continue to do that, it'll keep adding that to the string. When the length of B strings is 32, which happens to be the exact length of now is the time for all good men, the program assumes you finish typing the phrase and goes to line 20 to compute your words per minute. Line 120, 130, 140, compute your typing speed. Divide T by 74 to get seconds. Divide seconds by 60 to get minutes. And then divide the 8 words. Oh, that's where the 8 came from, because there were 8 words. And divide 8 words by the number of minutes to get the words per minute. So that was actually pretty interesting. That was chapter 12. And so we learned a couple of new commands. INKEY string, which is scanning the keyboard for a key press and then taking that key press and storing it in a string variable. And we also learned a statement called val, which takes a string variable and converts it into a numeric variable by figuring out the value of that string. Very cool stuff. I like it. I cannot wait to get through chapter 13 and move on to section 2 of this book, where we get into sights and sounds. And this is fun stuff. And honestly, when I did this, I really wasn't sure who would actually enjoy this, who would actually watch this. Am I crazy for doing this? I kind of just was doing it for me initially, but then I started thinking, well, maybe 1 or 2 other people might find this interesting. And apparently there's a handful of people who are watching this, and I'm actually getting a lot of very encouraging and positive support and feedback from doing this, which is crazy. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that I'm doing it. It's crazy to me that anybody else wants to watch this crap, but I'm thankful for it because it is interesting. It's a part of history. And who knows? It's getting my creative juices flowing. It's getting my programming brain. It's getting those wheels turning. I hope I get back into programming because I was somewhat clever as a kid. I got a lot dumber as I got older, but I was somewhat clever as a kid when I programmed in BASIC, and I did some cool things. And I'm hoping that those memories will come back, and as I learn this vocabulary and I learn these skills, I want to make a cool little fun little program. And of course it's going to be something visual, it's going to be something graphical, it's going to be something gamey. That's all I did as a kid. That's all I was interested in doing, is making my computer do graphics and sound and animation and game type stuff, because quite frankly, that's the only thing that a computer should be used for, is cool graphic stuff, right? Who cares about boring words, blah, 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 words, text, numbers. That's boring. That's lame. Graphics are awesome. Computer graphics, computer animations, video games. That's where it's at, kids. That's the cool stuff, and that's what we're going to get to real soon. So that's it. Dudes, we're out of here. Okay, I'm the original gamer, Stevie Stroh. We got more chapters to do. This was chapter 12. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you give this video a like. Make sure you throw out a comment. Tell me what you thought about it. Make sure you watch more of my videos. Subscribe to my channel. Share my channel with your friends. Let the whole world know that I'm a psycho. And that's it. Okay, peace out and bye-bye, everybody.